All right, YouTube. Unfortunately, it appears that Leonard Nimoy today has died. He was a long-time smoker. He had, I believe, some sort of heart condition as the result of that, so he passed away recently, within the last few hours, actually, I believe. It was announced earlier. And all of a sudden, of course, every bit of social media and mainstream media was reporting this. Leonard Nimoy was probably killed because of this shirt bullshit, the blue and black versus gold and white bullshit. He must have just huddled up in his fucking bed and started shouting that it's illogical until he had a stroke. Joking aside, though, here passes a truly great man. And I think a lot of people simply know him as Spock. They know him, of course, as Spock from the Star Trek series, and he really gets pegged. I mean, literally, some of these media sites are reporting that Spock is dead rather than Leonard Nimoy is dead, which I think is kind of sad because I know him best from the In Search Of series, which was sort of the late 70s, early 80s pre-satanic panic paranormal show. It ran for, I think, 5 or 6 seasons. It did very well. Really sort of the Sagan era stuff as opposed to some of the nonsense that you have now when you're talking about the paranormal. That's really where I recognize Leonard Nimoy from as the voice and the host of that show for most of those series, most of the seasons of that series. That was sort of the precursor to like the Ancient Aliens, the Haunted, and all of these other series that you have now. That's really kind of what popularized it because it was a spin-off of general sci-fi at the time. And having him, of course, he's got a deep voice. He's a generally a trusted celebrity, I suppose, somebody that doesn't really get into all the materialistic bullshit and was well known. Really having him there made the series what it was. I think we get the classic image of him with the pointy ears as Spock in sort of his Star Trek uniform. And really, a lot of people thus know him that way and overlook all of the other work that he ever did. But like I said, I know him best from the In Search Of series because there was one on Oak Island. They've done Ancient Astronauts long before Ancient Aliens became a thing, by the way. We're talking like 25 years ago. That was already a show that they made. They talked about witches. They talked about the devil, vampires, werewolves, everything you could possibly want. As a result, I went a little bit in search of myself and found a channel that appears to have all of the episodes thereof, including several longer documentaries that they did and several shorter pieces, but we're talking a substantial number of videos. There is a link in the description to this other channel, which is hosting this content. I believe it's an official channel too, so I don't think they're going to get removed for copyright or anything, I would hope. But yes, Leonard Nimoy is unfortunately dead. I believe he was 83. So he had a good run. I mean, he lived quite a long time, probably because he was so logical. But yes, to those who would say, well, Spock is dead, no, it's Leonard Nimoy's dead. Spock's just one of the many characters that he played, one of the many roles that he filled. I don't even think his most important role. I think that his work into sort of the sci-fi aspect of the paranormal, really fusing it for what may be seen as the first time on that show, with actual science, with actual scientists being interviewed. Sort of the modern format of paranormal material really started with that series. You don't really see before that period. You see some documentaries that are historical about some shamanistic tribe out in the Amazon or something. And then you have the sci-fi material, but this was really the first series. It was truly groundbreaking that sort of fused those things together. I think the occult owes Leonard Nimoy a lot more than some people would like to suggest. And I think that sort of scientific, that cold, calculating, logical character that he always seems to play really helped to usher in that era in which these things stopped being sort of taboo subjects to cover, at least from an entertainment standpoint, and really entered the mainstream consciousness for the first time. And that's really truly what I know him best as, and I rue the loss of Leonard Nimoy specifically for that alone, if not so much because, I was never really a Star Trek fan, although I've seen episodes of it, and I think the older one with, Captain Kirk and Spock and so forth were better than the newer ones. That's just my opinion, not being a Trekkie or specifically a sci-fi fan. But yes, those documentary materials really did usher in that era and I think that we owe him a lot more than most people are willing to let on. So yeah, unfortunately, Leonard Nimoy is dead, apparently of complications brought on by decades of chain smoking. Uh, Rather sad, but again, I mean, he was an old dude. He was 83. He had a long life. He seemed to enjoy himself. If he generally, let's face it, stayed in character a lot of the time, probably for the benefit of others. But I mean, I hope that he didn't mind that, getting sort of pegged as Spock everywhere he went. I'm sure that more than one person, said "live long and prosper" to him, when he was walking down the street. But yes, he was a very entertaining individual and a talented man. So rest in peace to Leonard Nimoy, aka, unfortunately, people know him best as Spock. That's about all. Peace out.